All right, let's dive into something you've probably never thought twice about: medieval sneezing and the battle for your soul. Sounds a little dramatic, right? But trust me, we're about to find out that a simple achoo used to be a really, really big deal.
I mean, seriously, ever wonder why we really say bless you? Think about it. Someone sneezes and those words just come out of your mouth automatically. But why? Why those specific words?
For us, today, it's just good manners. It's the polite thing to do, end of story. But what if I told you it has nothing to do with being polite? That it actually comes from a time of genuine life and death terror? And I'm not making this up. Back in 1348, saying bless you was basically an emergency prayer. It was a desperate attempt to stop the devil from, and I quote, stealing your sinuses. I mean, wow. Okay, so that obviously begs the question: what was everyone so afraid of? What on earth did they think was happening during a sneeze that was so unbelievably terrifying? Well, it all comes down to this belief they had called the sneeze vulnerability. The idea was that a sneeze was so violent, so powerful, that it literally forced your soul right out of your body for a split second. And in that one moment, you were completely defenseless.
So let's just break down how they pictured this whole thing happening. First, the sneeze begins, you get that little tickle in your nose,
And then, in that split second of the actual sneeze, pachoo! Your soul, your very life force, shoots out of your nose and is just floating there in the air, totally exposed. And guess who's supposedly always lurking around, just waiting for a moment like that? Yup, the devil. He sees that vulnerable soul just hanging there, and that's his chance to snatch it away forever. A truly horrifying thought, right? So if that's what you believe, what do you do? How do you fight the devil in your sinuses? There had to be some kind of defense against this kind of supernatural attack. Well, the answer came from the very top. This brings us to Pope Gregory's emergency prayer, a papal decree that would change sneezing forever. Let's go back in time. The year is 590 CE. A terrible plague is tearing through Rome. People are sick, they're scared, and sneezing is everywhere. It's a sign of impending doom. So, right in the middle of all this chaos, Pope Gregory the Great issues an order. He commands that every time you hear a sneeze, you have to immediately say, "God bless you." It wasn't a suggestion, it was a command, a short, powerful prayer to shield that person's soul. So the whole thing gets started with Pope Gregory back in 590. But then fast forward almost 800 years to 1348, the Black Death hits Europe. Now, any sign of sickness, especially a sneeze, is absolutely terrifying. This just poured gasoline on that old fire of superstition. And that intense fear created some serious social pressure. Not saying bless you wasn't just rude, it was actually a dangerous move. This was the curse of silence. Look at it this way. Saying bless you was your duty. It was seen as an act of piety, a spiritual shield for your neighbor. But staying silent? Oh, that was bad. It was seen as being spiritually negligent. People might even think you were a witch or that you had some ill intent toward the sneezer. It was socially dangerous. So how in the world did we get from a desperate prayer against sinus-stealing demons to the simple, polite thing we do today? How did this ancient fear become just a modern habit? Well, it happened in stages. It started as this urgent prayer to ward off evil. Then it became a socially enforced religious custom you absolutely had to do. During the plague years, it kind of shifted into a sign of community care. And then finally, over centuries, as those ancient fears faded away, the urgency vanished. But the habit stuck around. It just became a polite piece of modern etiquette. And that's the whole point, really. That simple little phrase we say without thinking was once a spiritual battleground. Every sneeze was a tiny, invisible war. So the next time you hear a sneeze and automatically say bless you, you'll know the incredible, terrifying story behind those words. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? What other modern habits are just echoes of ancient fears?